Well, early Merry Christmas. I'm having Christmas dinner here, which is roast chicken and chestnut dressing casserole. And I don't know about you, but I always preferred what the turkey ate to the turkey itself. So I make this with a large ratio of stuffing and to a ratio of chicken, not turkey, because I really like chicken, especially chicken thighs. And I think my family would absolutely revolt if I didn't make this every Christmas. Look at that. Yeah, it's stuffing. Just absolutely juicy with chestnuts and onions and bread, some seasoning in there, a little bit of sage. And it's been baked in the oven for a long time. It just melts in your mouth. So, let's go in the kitchen, make some right now, and then decide if this is what you'd like to have for your Christmas dinner tradition. Okay, here we have the ingredients for this whole dish, other than what we're going to use for basting it, and we're going to go over that in a couple minutes. First of all, to make the stuffing, we have here, this is about 6 cups of half-inch cubes of rye bread. Now, yes, you can use old rye bread if it's a little dried out. That's fine. That never lasts around our house, so this is fresh rye bread. Either's okay. So 6 cups of that, which comes out to about 10 slices, about that big. 2 onions, chopped. Here we have 12 ounces or 340 grams of cooked chestnuts. That comes out to about 2 cups when you've chopped it up into pieces like this. These are cut into anywhere between a quarter to a half-inch pieces. That'll be perfect and just really nice in there. We have here chicken broth. Now chicken stock. We're going to use anywhere between 1.5 to 2 cups. It really depends as we see how much the bread soaks up. So I'm going to start off with 1.5 cups, and if we need more, we're going to add it. We have a quarter cup of butter. That's going to go in right away. 3 eggs, 2 tablespoons of dried sage, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1.5 teaspoons of pepper, and over here, going on top of the stuffing, the chicken thighs. I have 2 large chicken thighs. They're about 1 pound or 450 grams each. So you got 2 pounds and 900 grams of chicken thighs with the skin on. Now, if you prefer breast or that's fine. You can change out the chicken meat, whatever you want on top of there. So let's start by heating up the butter. Now, you could use a casserole dish for making this, but I prefer a big ratio of stuffing to my chicken, so I can get more depth of stuffing using this big old cast iron pot of mine. This is like one of my old favorites. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to heat up the butter in this big old pot. I'll bring that up to about medium heat first just to get it started. I'm going to melt the butter, and as soon as that melts, I'm going to add in the onions, and we're going to cook those onions for about 5 to 8 minutes just to get them softened up and ready to go into the stuffing. So I'm going to let that melt. I'm going to throw those in there. Let's come back in about 5 minutes. So those onions have been cooking for about 5 minutes. I've been keeping the heat between medium, low, and medium, and they're just nicely softened. You don't really need to cook the onions, just want to soften them up a bit. That's looking good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add in the chestnuts. We're not really going to cook the chestnuts. We're just going to heat them up a bit. Get them mixed in there with the butter and the onions. Just for about a minute. And while that's happening, I'm going to get a big bowl. And we're going to toss the breadcrumbs in here. Bread cubes. A little bit big breadcrumbs, aren't they? We're going to toss in the sage, the pepper, the salt, and then just going to mix that around a bit. And I'm going to add about half of the chicken stock and just drizzle it across different areas here. Just got to get it distributed. Yeah, that's about half. Mix that around a bit. All right, get that all in there. See, the bread's absorbing it. What I'm going to do first now is going to add in all the onion and the chestnuts. What I need is my hot pad. Otherwise, that's going to be rather hot. All right, so I'm going to mix that in now. Kill that heat. And all the onions and all the chestnut in here. Oh, this is going to be delicious. Okay. Let's mix that in. All I do is just kind of lift and turn, lift and turn. Get it nicely distributed. Get the herb distributed through there, the salt, the pepper. And you can see there's still some dry breadcrumbs. I'm looking at the bottom. There's no excess soup stock, so I'm going to add a little bit more. Now what I'm going to do is, over the next 10 minutes, just going to let this absorb a bit. We want the bread to be nicely moistened, but we don't want this to be sopping wet and extra, extra stock lying at the bottom. So let this sit for a couple minutes. And it'll just absorb up the moisture. And do this while now we can start preheating the oven. We're going to preheat that oven to 375 or about 190 degrees Celsius. And everything's going to go in the oven in the big cast iron pot. Now, while this is absorbing the juices, what we're going to do over here is, first of all, we can get this guy off to one side. I'm going to use a small milk pan, and I've got a half a cup of butter here. This is going to be the basting sauce. So first of all, we're going to get that butter melting. Get that to just a medium low. Once that butter melts, I'm going to mix in the sage. So what we have here, so that's a half a cup of butter. What we have here is 2 teaspoons of sage. We've got 1 teaspoon of pepper and a half teaspoon of salt. And those are all going to go get mixed into the butter. And we're going to baste that over top of the chicken once it's in our dish here. All right, so let's let that melt. Going to mix this in. And I'm going to come back and check on this. This is looking really good. I think it's going to be able to use a little bit more stock. So I'm just going to drizzle a bit more in there. Probably going to go just about the full 2 cups this time. It really depends on how much the bread soaks up. I say you don't want sopping wet. You just want it so all the bread is moist. Because remember, we're going to be adding those eggs in there too. Oh, that's looking good. And our butter's starting to melt. Great. In a couple of minutes, everything's going to go in the oven. All right, let's come back once that basting sauce is ready. All right, the basting sauce, the butter has melted. I'm just going to mix in the sage, the pepper, the salt. We'll give that a little mix, and then we're going to take it off the heat. Oh, yes, perfect. All right, that's coming off the heat now. Now, let's bring this back over where it's close by. This is looking good. I don't think we're going to need to add any more. Yeah, look at that. They're nice and all the bread seems to have absorbed some juice. There's nothing sitting at the bottom. Maybe we could finish that off. So we're going to go full 2 cups this time. Sometimes I end up just with 1.5 cups. It just, like I say, it really depends on the bread, how much it's absorbing. In fact, 2 cups of that chicken stock, that'd be exactly 1 15-ounce can if you're using the canned chicken stock. Now, I want to add in the eggs. Oops, we need a bowl. All right. So we take the eggs, we'll just quickly beat them before we add them into there. 3 eggs. These are beautiful eggs. They come from one of our local farmers markets. Look at the color of those yolks. So I'm just gonna give those a little mix up. You can use a whisk for this, or just a spoon will do too. It doesn't have to be perfect. What we do want to do is get it combined nicely. The yolks and the whites. All right, that's looking good. In it goes. Look at this, Christmas dinner is going to be ready pretty soon. So now, just mixing that egg, this is what's going to bind everything together. So you want to mix the egg in with the breadcrumbs, the chestnuts, the seasoning. Oh, look at that. Yeah, now it's looking like stuffing, right? Oh, yes. All right, now all we do is dump it into our cast iron pot. All right, that is looking good. Let's put that aside. And then just kind of tamp it down. Smooth it all out. Now, that is actually feeling just absolutely perfect. Nice and moist, which is the way we want it. We don't want dry stuffing, right? Now we've got that in there, I take a pair of tongs and lay the chicken on top. So look at that. I think it's going to fit perfectly. Now you can, if you want, cut the chicken up into smaller pieces. I just cut them up when I'm serving. Okay, we got that in there. Let's, again, push those down. We're just going to push them down into the stuffing just a little bit. And now we're going to give them the first basting. So, taking some of this basting sauce here, and a brush. This is actually, I like these, a painter's brush. Yeah, you can get the kitchen brushes, but I get these from the hardware store, and they're fantastic. And if they get really mucked up, well, they're really cheap, so just toss them away and get another one. All right, just kind of scoop so you get some of the herbs there too. See how I'm just spreading that butter all over here? This is going to make for juicy deliciousness. All right, now the rest of the butter is going to stay here in the pot because we're going to baste about every half hour. Well, going to be baking for 1 hour covered, and then halfway through we're going to just give it a quick basting. We're going to put it in the oven again, bake it for the next half hour, so now a full hour. Take the cover off, oh, oven's ready, and bake it for about another 20 minutes. 20 minutes to half an hour until it gets nicely browned on top. So let's get this in the oven. I'm going to put a cover on it. Actually, the cover is the frying pan that comes with this. It's like a set. It's fantastic. From Lodge. I just love these. If you ever want to get a cast iron pan, get the pot and fry pan together because they're so handy to use that way. All right, let's put this in a half an hour. We'll bring it out and give it another basting. All right, that's been the first half hour in the oven. Let's have a quick look at it. Oh, looking really good. So lots of juiciness in there. Looks like our stuffing is ready, on the road to being cooked. We've been basically steaming the chicken right now by having it covered. The next half hour we're going to uncover it so we can start browning it. So looks like our butter is still melted. Good. I'm going to baste some of that on there. We're going to put it in for another half hour, and then we're going to bring it out and check it and start basting a little bit more liberally. All right, let's get it in for another half hour and then we'll check on it. So that has been baking in the oven now for an hour, half an hour covered, half an hour uncovered. Smelling fantastic. I'm going to just baste this with some more butter. This is looking really good. All right, even going to baste some of this where a little bit of stuffing is showing dry on top. Let's get out a little basting of butter. The rest is obviously in juices and delicious. Okay, so I'm going to put that back in the oven. We're gonna probably go about 20 minutes. It's looking pretty good. In 10 minutes, we'll pull it out, check it, give it another basting if it needs it, put it in for another 10 minutes, and then we're ready for Christmas dinner. All right, let's put this back in the oven. Okay, finished, done. That's been baking in the oven for another 20 minutes. At the 10-minute mark, I basted it a bit more with the butter. Look at that. It's absolutely fantastic. Imagine what people are going to be, how happy people are going to be when you serve this up at Christmas dinner. All right, let's cut into one of those. So we're going to serve this up for 4 people. We've got 2 chicken thighs. We just cut them in half. Then, whoa. Yeah, we get the chicken on the plate. We get some of that wonderful stuffing just mounded on there. Yeah, that is just absolutely juicy. Full of chestnuts and bread and onion. Some herbs. A little browning on the edges here. Let's get some of that brown on top. Just looks great. All right, let's get this out of the way so you can have a good look at that. And there. Christmas dinner. And isn't this a lot easier than baking a turkey? Really, I leave it up to you. This is our choice in our house. If I didn't make this, there'd be rebellion. All right, have a very Merry Christmas. Now, if you go to the link appearing on the screen, you can get the free printable recipe for roast chicken and chestnut stuffing casserole on our website. So go print out the recipe, have fun making and eating this delicious Christmas treat, and make cooking fun again with Kuma's Kitchen.